There are elements of this image that are realistic. Look closely and you will see small clusters of people and horses, and they are beautifully drawn. But when I look at this piece as a whole, these people exist as small pieces of detail within the larger image of abstract mountains. It feels contemporary to me even though it isn't. It profoundly connects to me because it is so inspirational. The Art Institute of Chicago includes many amazing pieces of artwork, but I'm drawn to this piece by a Chinese artist from the 17th century. Sadly, we don't know the name of the artist. I would like to know who the artist is. It's not that I only value a piece of artwork when the artist has a good reputation. This isn't a key factor for me. I'd like to know the name so I can place this piece, this image, in a larger context. I can look at the artist's entire body of work, and that's always a valuable experience. You can look at how they have developed over time and see parts of their artistic process. Each culture and time period comes with its own artistic style. It's an unwritten set of rules that the artist is expected to conform to. It isn't always a conscious decision to conform to a particular aesthetic. It can be influenced by all the art that we are exposed to. The things that inspire us will always influence our artistic practice. Each culture also seems to have places where these unwritten artistic rules are more relaxed. In depictions of mythology or religion, the artist often finds a greater degree of artistic freedom. This image is titled "A Hunt in the Mountains of Heaven." I wonder if the artist chose this title. When the artist's name has disappeared, you become more likely to question the title. Did someone question the realism in the piece and then decide that it would be better if it was seen as a landscape of a different world, a divine landscape? When you're creating an image of people hunting in the mountains of heaven, it's a subject matter that creates freedom. The mountains don't need to look like a specific mountain, and they don't have to follow the rules of the physical world. It is a subject matter that allows space for abstraction. The mountain curves around a group of people, and it almost looks like a hand holding them up to the sky. There is something unnatural about the shape of the mountains, but it makes the image more interesting. When you look at the image, it conforms to a particular set of artistic rules. It's positioned within a specific culture and aesthetic. It looks like a traditional Chinese piece of artwork. It follows a lot of the rules that belong to that artistic style. I want to create my own version of this piece of artwork, but am I foolish enough to believe that I'm free in how I create it? I have a culture and a time period that I belong to. I'm just as influenced by the artwork that I've been exposed to. It's great to live in a time when abstract art is seen as something to be valued. However, being able to use abstraction isn't an indication of artistic freedom. Abstraction has its own set of unwritten artistic rules. Thinking of art in terms of aesthetic rules might seem stifling and uncreative. However, all forms of communication have rules. For example, you shouldn't interrupt when another person is speaking. You can decide to break all those social rules, but it will weaken your ability to communicate. The same is true when creating a piece of artwork. I want to use this piece of artwork as a starting point for another image. I'm not aiming to create a piece of traditional Chinese artwork. Instead, I'm looking to create something different. I don't want to mimic something. I want to allow myself to be inspired. I want to view this amazing artwork and then see how it connects to my own artistic practice. I'm influenced by expressionism, surrealism, and abstract art. All of those influences will become part of the image that I'm going to create. I'm going to begin with this basic sketch. I really like the structure of the original image, and I'm using that structure as the backbone for my artwork. I couldn't escape how this shape resembles a hand. When something is abstracted, it can often be seen as a completely different object. I can see a hand because in the original, the mountains have such a high level of abstraction. In my sketch, I'm looking at some of the shapes within the mountains, and I'm using that information to create something different. As I mentioned before, I come from a different artistic style and culture, and because of this, I have a different approach to colour and colour theory. Colour isn't the main thing that attracts me to this original image. It's quite a limited colour palette with a few small flashes of red. There is space to bring in a lot of other influences and create something more colourful. Let's add some colour. When I get to this stage of creating the image, I start to see the shape of an abstract figure on the right side. I start exploring the figure that I can see by drawing it in the artwork. You can see that there are a lot of cool colours on the canvas. Those colours need to be balanced by warmer colours. Because I already have blue on the canvas, I introduce its complementary colour, orange. There is also green on the canvas, so I add red because green and red are also complementary colours. I need a different colour for the robes of the people, and I choose purple because it isn't anywhere else on the canvas. You'll notice how the blue line that curves in the sky continues the half circle positioning of all of those purple robes. Compositions are often helped by simplistic structures. I've added some yellow highlights to the orange shapes. Yellow is the complementary colour to purple, so both colours are enhanced by being near each other. It's subtle, but all of these small aspects make a difference to the image as a whole. Now we can add more light and shade to the image. I've added the final detail to those arching leaves. If we look at the original image, we can reduce its structure to its basic properties. I've drawn blue lines to highlight the main shapes that are the backbone of this image. Every great composition usually has basic structure as its foundation, and this image is no different. Look how those simple curves balance the high level of detail that is in the picture. It's brilliant. Let's compare the composition structures of both images. What did I keep and what did I alter? That hand shape is in both pictures. I don't curve around that shape in the same way, and because of that, I've needed to add an upper arch to the structure of the composition. The curve in one direction is balanced by the curve in another direction. My composition is still simplistic, but not quite as simplistic as the original image. But the detail in my image isn't as heavy. When you have a simplistic composition, it allows you to balance a high level of detail, and the more simplistic it is, the more detail you can add. My composition is less simplistic, but I have less detail, so it's more appropriate for my artistic style. Composition is often about balancing many different factors. The resulting image is very different from the original. They are both impacted by the context in which they were created, but there is a bond between the two images. I hope it highlights my respect for this unknown Chinese artist. We can be separated by centuries, and yet we can still connect to each other. There is something special about connecting over such great distances, and art often provides us with unique opportunities to do that.